Aloha, my name is Russell Wright. I'm the CEO of ThemeZoom.com. This is the much awaited part 2 of our video series called Unmapping the Web. If you haven't seen part 1 of Unmapping the Web, please look at our YouTube channel, which is www.youtube.com/ThemeZoom. You can look for part 1, and it's important that you understand how we got to the place that we're at in this video by revealing to you the pattern and history of data portability, so that we've actually moved through in our previous lecture, the end of the web, and ultimately moving towards the end of marketing, which is The Web is Dead article by Chris Anderson, also author of The Long Tail. And it's important to understand how we got to where we're at, so please do watch that video. In part 2, I'm going to bring it all together as best as I can in a short 10-minute spot to explain to you, while much of what I'm talking about seems esoteric and flights of fancy, it's very well grounded in hardcore technology and things that actually exist, not just projected emotionalism. This is based on technology that we already know is changing the way that we do business online, as well as changing the memes or the idea plexes and even the meme plexes with which we deal with our future as a culture. This is why we're going to talk about the upper half of this hourglass of unmapping the web. In the other video, I talked about how we've mapped our bodies via the new neuroscience of body maps onto the old mainframes and have broken free from those mainframes, thus literally changing the neural network inside our own brains and with our own body. In video 3, we're going to get into some more esoteric aspects of that, which goes far beyond the scope of what we're talking about for ThemeZoom certification. So it's just a fun video. Watch it on a Sunday because it almost waxes esoterically with predictions and clarifications about what you can expect as far as well-being and what you might want to start putting together in your life, learning and knowing in preparation for what's coming. Okay? So we know that the sixth sense technology, which is the technology coming within a year or two that projects the internet outside of the body into a virtual space or onto any flat surface. It does this by using a camera and eventually a hologram, very similar to the Minority Report starring Tom Cruise, a science fiction film where he's moving around stuff on his desktop using just these little virtual gloves. Well, honestly, the sixth sense technology doesn't even require the gloves that Tom Cruise used, simply requires a couple of finger caps. And that is pretty amazing. Okay, so that's already started. So this point, this 0 point with which this whole unmapping the web technology is all pointed to the sixth sense technology, the inversion of the body map, as I explained to you, where we project the web and where we project the internet out of us instead of having to be tied to a piece of hardware. But more importantly than that, when it comes to your business, when it comes to what we're going to teach you at ThemeZoom certification, it has to do with literally the death of the salesman. When I say the death of the salesman, I'm talking about the absolute zero point, the point where when you have a body in a situation where a doctor actually has to decide whether or not to stop reviving the body. They usually call it, that's the time of death, TOD. The time of death of the salesman is going to occur when every human being on the planet, for very inexpensive amounts of money, can literally project the internet through their own applications and deal with anything that they need to in the world as far as a knowledge worker in the context that they prefer. That means that there's no tyranny of location tied to where they are, third-party spaces. They can be on top of Mount Everest, on the moon, or in their grandmother's basement. Doesn't matter. Wherever they are, they can literally be walking down the street while they're talking to you on the web and be projecting, while they're talking to you on the internet. See, I keep doing it. While they're talking to you on the internet, they can be in any location. The tyranny of location is gone. That changes the way our neural networks, changes how we relate to others, changes how we collaborate. So the death of the salesman is also the 0 point. There's many ways I could present this material, from spiritual to financial to emotional to psychological. And so this particular track that I'm on right now is primarily based for business. You can feel free to see my other videos where I get into the esoteric aspects of what this means for your body, your mind, and your soul, so to speak. Okay? So what happens when this whole thing flips over is the salesman dies because already the salesman has been dying. because anybody can just get the facts and the information about a product or a car or a vehicle pretty much at any time that they want. And you can just simply hop on Google or Carfax or any of these other things. When you go to a storefront or you look at different things that are happening, you don't want to be patronized anymore by somebody who's giving you information that you already have when you walk into the store. One of my clients, Jay Townley, used to be the VP marketing for Schwinn Bikes, later owned Bike Profits and other websites. We wrote a sales copy together that had to do with an understanding that for the most part, when a customer walks into your store, they know more about your bicycles and your products and your services than most of your sales staff. That's not really a good thing, but this was out 2.5 years ago. We actually did those surveys and we knew that. And imagine where that's come to this point. Well, when we reach absolute zero, where the body map inversion occurs, where the sixth sense technology occurs, there's not going to be a need for salesmen. Pretty much everything that's going to happen on storefronts and will be literally consultative selling. And what you'll see is almost like stewardess and hostesses and hosts and hostesses that actually present themselves in sales environments. And rather than a sales environment, we literally have to understand that these are consultative environments. You're no longer hiring salesmen, you're hiring consultants, stewards, stewardesses, hosts, hostesses that know that they should not approach customers or clients as if they're ignorant. They shouldn't approach customers or clients as if they're trying to patronize them. And we're also going to see the end of a lot of commissionable sales type tactics. And this is why this is so important, especially when I'm teaching you as Theme Zoom clients, as Theme Zoom consultants, how to make sure that you ask the right questions and that your customer, your potential prospect or client or your future client actually comes up with the answer, that you don't present material to them or present solutions to them without them figuring it out for themselves. You really want people, you want to deal with people's cognitive bias. They already have ideas in their minds. All you do is answer questions. And if you're able to plant the seeds of inception in their mind, like this new film called Inception, you have to make sure that most of your customers and prospects, in order to become a trusted advisor, you have to create a process called inception, where they feel like they've come up with the idea of the question and the solution to the problem that you have provided. This is a huge difference. And this will be the death of hard-pitched salesmen who provide the answer or the solution to a problem before the customer has come up with it. Okay? So when we rise above to the future of the beam, the cloud, where everything is stored up in the cloud and everything exists in a virtual space, the things that are very scary to a lot of science fiction writers, a lot of conspiracy theorists, you've all seen the videos, if you're even slightly into the fringe videos. The next step past this 0 point, this inversion, the death of the salesman, the body map inversion, the sixth sense technology projection of the internet into any environment without any tyranny of location, is spines. Spines are objects that are tracked in space and time via RFID and other means. These can be any kinds of objects, such as Wired magazine has a ISBN number, but not only an ISBN number that generally tracks the publication, but a specific number that attracts this and only this particular magazine. This especially comes as an important piece of technology when you're dealing with hardware. You know, not just a general model number, but this exact model phone, and beyond registering your phone specifically to this ID, but also being able to track and keep track of what happens to a large segment of independent products, whether they go off the market, whether they go offline, whether they're destroyed. Another type of idea of a spine, an idea of a spine that is not conspiracy-based or fearful, is the LoJack technology. There's a 50% decrease in crime in areas where LoJack are put in cars because thieves are afraid to take cars, steal cars in those areas because they don't know, they can't see whether or not the LoJack is underneath on the body of the vehicle. So they're very unlikely to steal a car that has a LoJack technology. And this is an example of spine, because if a car is stolen, you simply report it and the LoJack staff will locate where it is, where that vehicle is within space and time. Now, the more conspiracy-oriented among us, the next level of spine is HIME, or H-spine, and that's human spines. That means human beings that are tracked in space and time. And this is where a lot of the Orwellian sci-fi kind of Minority Report kind of stuff comes in. Now, this is already happening. We have pets, people, and animals that have tracking ideas in them. It's already being used, applied to soldiers in military settings for obvious reasons. Okay, SPIMEs, like I said, with the LoJack technology, also have positive possibilities and technologies. Parents are actually chipping their children, so if they get stolen or kidnapped, they actually know where they can locate the child. Okay, so obviously the knife cuts both ways. This is a two-edged sword. But my point is that we're moving to an environment in which SPIMEs have multiple uses. Another purpose for SPIMEs is being able to crowdsource the design and the change of designs of certain kinds of technologies. Okay, so for example, if you have a bunch of products such as an iPhone or even a particular kind of coffee cup, it doesn't really matter what that object is. And you're tracking all of these models through space and time, and your users are registering these models. If they all vote kind of American Idol style, that they would like a change of this model or design, like please create the iPhone so it has a thumb holder and it's nested as the shape of my hand. It has a ergonomically correct anatomy. People could actually literally vote that design into existence through using SPIME technology. And it makes it easier for the company to build a prototype in real time because, like a memeplex, all of those ideas and votes are being cast, and people are actually helping you on the ground change that design. And you literally do a regression analysis of all the vote changes and come up with a brand new product based on what your customers have literally built in the field. This is part of the use and plans that a lot of companies have for SPIME technology. Now, when we get back, we're going to talk about the cloud for part 3. We're going to talk about Jaron Lanier's You Are Not a Gadget, Raymond Kurzweil, The Singularity is Near, and why it's incredibly important to know that one of these two realities are going to happen because they're already happening. And also a blend between two of them is also a possibility. But you can predict within a regression analysis predictable law of chance where things are moving with this. And this allows you, knowing that the death of the salesman occurs within a 2.5-year period, to start preparing yours and streamlining your business processes for one of these realities. And these realities both need to be understood because these authors do not agree with each other. I would even go so far as to say that they're enemies. And wherever you have deep conflict or internal contradiction, you have a research process, which I teach people, called cognitive dissonance research. Because where there's dissonance, there's also the possibility for consonance. I'm going to show you what these two futurist giants believe is going to happen by the year 2020, and in the case of Dr. Kurzweil, 2045. I'll see you in just a moment.